Hi, I'm Chef Jeff, and today we're going to be making something simple, elegant, multi-purpose, and super easy. An accent every kitchen should have. We're making stock, and you need to know how. Let's get cooking. All right, so we're making stock today. Stock is a simple thing that I think every cook at home, every chef really needs to know how to do and do it well so that you've got some great flavors that you can add to your cooking. And so I like to be fit, I like to be trim. People kind of look at me funny sometimes and say like, how can I trust you? You're too skinny to be a chef. But there's different types of chefs, and there's like foodie chefs, and then there's like managing chefs, there's teaching chefs, and so I'm one of the teaching chefs. I like to teach you things, but in my personal life, I like to eat healthy, and I like to train hard. I've done an Ironman, half Ironman, and I'm training for a marathon, and you can see some of those videos on our YouTube stations, how I train for those, and how I cook for those, which is a pretty cool thing. And so today, stock it is. And so if you see the table, we've already been cooking today. And that's just great. So we've broken down a whole chicken over here. And if you want to see that video, you can go to our YouTube page and see how we break down a whole chicken. But with this one, we're just going to start making stock from the pieces that we have left over. And so here, we're going to start off with some onions and some carrots. A lot of times you put celery and sometimes garlic and different things in it. But really, stock, you just put in it what you got. And so I've got this onion. And I'm going to cut the end off and cut the other end off, and then I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to just peel all of the peel off. Good stock is not a pot of your dumpster, okay? So a lot of my professional career, and I kind of shrugged to say that, a lot of my professional career, people would put anything and everything in stock. They're like, oh, it's extra, just throw that in your stock. Well, then your stock is going to taste like whatever that trash is you're putting in it. And so you don't want the dirt and you don't want the bitterness of your onion peels in your stock. So don't put them in there, right? So we're going to take them off. You have to treat, if you want a good stock, you need to treat your stock like it's the rest of your good food, okay? Where you keep the good stuff and you kind of get rid of the bad stuff. So the skins are coming off of my onions. I'm going to go ahead and peel my carrots. So once you get that peeled, get all that stuff in your trash can. Your vegetables, depending on how long you're cooking your stock for, will depend on your size. And so we're only going to cook this one for a couple of hours. So I'm going to cut them in like medium size, like, you know, half-inch cubes. I'm making a dark stock because I love the flavor of a dark chicken stock. So if you're making like a white or a blonde stock, that's a little bit different process, and I'll do another video on that one. But today, we're making a dark stock. So I'm going to take all of my vegetables that I have. I'm going to put them on my tray. I'm going to add a little oil to them. Give them a toss to get them coated. And then these things are going in the oven. So I've got an oven on back here at a high temperature, 425 degrees. Putting those in. And we're going to cook them for about 20 minutes or so until they start to get a little bit of color and soften. And then I'm going to add some tomato paste to them, and I'm going to cook them a little bit longer. And while that's happening, we're going to also put your chicken bones in the oven. So I've got another sheet pan. The chicken bones are going in. These chicken wings, they're great for just eating. But, and so you could just cook them off, roast them, fry them, whatever you like to do. But today, I want my chicken stock to have a lot of flavor, and I don't really have a use for these. I have plenty of other chicken that I can make. So you get to decide. Like when you're at home and you're cooking, there is no always a hard and fast rule to everything. Sometimes You just get to pick. And people come in the classroom all the time and ask me like, well, what's the proper way? I'm like, well, how do you want to eat it? Well, I'd rather have it, seared rather than grilled. Well, then sear it if you want to, because sometimes cooking is what you want to do. So put them on there, and I'm going to add just a little bit of oil, and we'll sanitize the bottle, don't worry. So add a little bit of oil to them. Do you know why I add oil? Well, because you need the fat to coat the pieces so that it'll transfer the heat of the oven. That's fat's main job when you're cooking, is to transfer heat. And so you need a little bit of fat on there to actually help the heat transfer happen inside of the oven. So there you have that. And I washed my hands, and I am going to sanitize that bottle because I had a raw chicken hand all over it. Okay, so that's real cooking. You can watch videos and people never show you like the behind the scenes. This is the scene. Okay, when you're cooking, you need to wash your hands. That's a sanitizing solution I'm using. Sanitize your stuff that you've touched along the way. And then this is going in the same hot oven. I'm going to set a timer for about 20 minutes to check on everything. And we're going to let that roast. Now, while that's roasting, see I got a pot of water right here. So the pot of water is where the bones are going to go when they're ready. It's where the vegetables are going to go when they're ready. And I'm going to add a little bit of bay leaves to it. I'm going to add some peppercorns to it. And then here's where you get to like continually decide if you want to put other things in it. For instance, you could put some parsley stems in there. We could put a little bit of those in there. You could put some thyme stems or rosemary stems in there. And you can put maybe a few other vegetable ends and scraps in there. But if I want it to be really, really nice, I'm just going to control what's in the pot. And so I'm going to get some, probably 2 bay leaves and maybe 10 black peppercorns. And some people put garlic in there. And I'm typically a big fan of garlic in my stock. But if I want to use this for my family, I got a garlic and onion allergy in my family. So again, I just leave it out. And you could do the same thing depending on what you're doing. So let me get those in there, and then we're cooking. So I got my 2 bay leaves, peppercorns. That looks good. And then when the rest of the bones and the vegetables are ready, we'll add those in there and we'll make that stock. So our timer is going off for our vegetables. This is our second timer. As you probably know if you cook with me at all, that I don't ever set timers for like complete doneness. They're like to check on things. And so we're going to check on our veggies. Our veggies are looking perfect. They are ready for tomato paste. I have some dark stuff here that you could pull out if you don't want that bitterness. So if some of those edge pieces got a little bitter, you can just throw those out. Not a problem. But the rest of the caramel that's on here is good. And so I'm going to take a little tomato paste. And so a little bit of tomato paste, put it on here. And you're going to mix it up with your vegetables. Now what this does, tomato paste, the acid acts like an astringent. It's going to help like pull flavor out of the vegetables. But also tomato paste itself, when you cook it, it'll deepen in its flavor, and it'll help pull the flavor of everything that it touches. So tomato paste is a classical way that you would do. You would use it really for like even a tomato sauce. That sometimes you use tomato paste and cook it on the bottom of a pan, let it get kind of darker in color and richer in flavor. And we're doing the same thing here. This will help pull flavor out of the vegetables. Also help darken up the color of our stock and give our stock some more rich color and flavor. And a lot of people don't do this for a chicken stock, but I think for home use, you're not going to probably buy beef bones and make a really dark beef stock and make like beef demi-glace for yourself at home. Not to say you can't. Not to say we might not do a video on that at some point in time. So when you're at home, making a dark chicken stock can give you a lot of versatility and a lot of great flavor. And you can use it, when it's dark, I can use it for beef dishes and or chicken dishes. So that's the versatility in it. And whereas a lot of times with a beef stock, I'm not going to use it for chicken dishes because of the flavor would be too overpowering. But chicken can complement both much easier. Not to say they both can't be used for each other, but chicken just works better. So making it kind of like you would do a beef veal stock, but we're doing it with chicken bones. So there's our vegetables. They're going back in for a few more minutes. Take a peek at our chicken carcass. Our chicken carcass is probably pretty close to ready. We can go ahead and tomato paste it too. See how we got this nice golden brown, okay, on the outside of our bones and our wings. We got a nice golden brown happening on the outside of our carcass. It could go longer, but I think we're in good shape for today. And so you can take some tomato paste for here, okay, if you want to. And sometimes I do this and sometimes I don't. And I think earlier I mentioned that I probably wasn't going to on the bones, but I changed my mind. And you can do the same while you're cooking. So we're going to paint a little bit of that on there. So I'm going to rub all this with that tomato paste. And we're just going to cook that for a few minutes. Not long. We don't want to burn the tomato paste. We just want to deepen its color and enrichen its flavor and allow its job to kind of start sucking some of the flavor out of the bones, preparing them for the water. These are going to go back in. I'm only going to do about 8 minutes, and they'll be ready to go in the pot of water that we already got ready. All right, so our timer's going off. We're going to finish up our stock, or at least really get it cooking now. So I've got my roasted vegetables, and they're looking good. They're going to go into the pot.
All right, you good?
Get our chicken out. It's looking good. Got a little dark. That was only 8 minutes. I probably could have gone maybe 6. So it went a little dark, but I'm still okay with it. It's going in. We're going to turn it on. You got a lot of flavor left on the pans. So this is called the fond. Stuff that's stuck to the pan that is actually, that's like gold that you want to be in there. You don't want to just leave it on here and wash it off later. Okay? So we always say we're pretty fond of the fond around here. And so if you want to get this off, you can scrape it. You can scrape it, or you can also deglaze it. So it's hot. The pan is hot still, but I'm going to go ahead and get it a little bit hotter, and we're going to add a little bit of wine to it to deglaze it. Yep, so a little wine. And the wine will help. The wine and the heat will help get all that flavor off of the pan and into your stock. If you don't have wine, you don't have to use wine. You could put a little water on here and get some of this stuff off too. So water would be a definite use if you don't drink alcohol, want alcohol, or anything like that. And so a lot of that came off. It's going into my stock. Now this one, I could do the same with this one, but I think that's a little bit too dark for me, right? I know we got a little dark on a few things on that chicken, and so I don't want to continue to add any more bitterness to my stock. So that is gonna just gonna go to the dish room to get washed off a little bit later. So now your stock, you can cook this anywhere from a dark stock could cook for anywhere from 4 hours to 12 or 15 hours if you wanted to. Now we cut the mirepoix, or the vegetables I should say, a little bit smaller. So I'm only going to do this one for a couple hours, maybe 2 to 3 hours, and it should be ready to go for me. All right, so we've been working on this dark chicken stock, and it's cooked for a couple of hours, and it's ready to come off. And so you just turn off your heat, and when this has been about 4 hours or so, and we had all the great goodness of the roasted vegetables and the tomato paste all coming together. And let's see how dark and rich we made this stock. Look at that, it's amazing. So you want to strain it. There's that chicken carcass falling apart on us. So you want to strain it, and then you can cool it and store it in your fridge and use it for different sauces and add it to like a ton of different things when you're cooking. I mean, the list is really endless, but I like to make it and use it. And we used this particular one in another video to make a stock from this whole like chicken dish we were doing that day. So there's dark chicken stock, and we'd love to see you in a class in person, or you can join us at Sweet and Savory Classroom online and see some of our videos and things there. So have a great day, and we'll cook again soon.